What software is this? It's Blender. It's Blender 2.49 from the year 2009. So in this video, we'll be rigging in this old Blender version. Why? Well, first of all, I'm just doing something random for fun. Two, it could serve as a history lesson for us. This is what some of the early Blender open movies were made in. But one of the main reasons I'm doing this is to help people get over this fear or, being uncomfortable with old Blender tutorials. Especially more casual users, as soon as they see a little discrepancy in the interface, they go, okay, I cannot follow this. But that is not true. So here I'll be following my own basic rigging tutorial, which was recorded with Blender 4. In this old Blender version, and you'll see how it's totally possible. But before we even start this presentation, let's see how difficult it is to install Blender 2.49 on Windows 10. It must be really difficult, right? Actually, no. I'll just Google Blender all releases or something like that, and here we get releases. And here we have the every Blender version link. Download any Blender version. Here we have all Blender versions ever, from the oldest ones to the newest ones. And if you enter any of these folders, you get all of the Windows files and Linux files and Mac files. Some of the oldest Blender versions only have like a Unix release or IRIX or whatever it was called. So 1.6 is the first one that kind of has a Windows release, but I couldn't install it. I believe 1.8 was the first one that just worked. You just download this zip file, unzip it on Windows, and it starts. So for 2.49, I'll go here, download the zip file, open it, and just unzip it somewhere. Start Blender, and here we go. Okay, so this is the default scene. Let's delete the default cube, because that's what we do. And then delete everything else, and then I'm going to import my character. I'm importing it through LTS because I'm missing some Python stuff for this old Blender version, but anyway, here is the character. And right away, I'm going to show you a little secret in this old Blender version. If you grab this part of the interface and pull it down, you'll get the user preferences. And I'm going to change a couple of settings. I want to select with left mouse. I want my view rotation to be turntable, and I want auto perspective, which means that when I'm in orthographic view and then I move the mouse, it will just go into perspective. That's what I'm used to. And I think these are the main ones. And then I'll go to theme and switch to the rounded theme, not because it's rounded, but because it is a little bit darker. The default one is extremely bright. Okay, so if you're only used to recent versions of Blender, this may look like a completely unrelated software. But now I'm going to tweak the interface, and it will look a lot more like Blender in a second. So this is actually the properties panel, and in this version of Blender, it is called the buttons window. Okay, and it is horizontal, but we can switch it to vertical from here, align vertical. So I'm going to right click here, split area, and create a new area. And once again, over here and match it. Okay, then join these areas. Okay, and then align vertical. Okay, then I'll split another area here and switch it to outliner. And now it will show the meshes and so on. In this window, I'll switch to timeline. Now we are cooking. It looks a lot more like Blender. So things are definitely organized differently, but you'll see how we can find a lot of our familiar features. Oh, I can also right click here on this header and switch it to be on top. All right, so over here we have the object properties, and this here is object data properties. Here we have textures, materials, I think, and this is the game engine and something about scripting, not sure what it is, but we'll be focusing on object and data properties. And so if I want to start rigging, I can do it just like we do today. I'll press Shift A and create an armature. Under object properties or data properties, we have X-ray, which is the same as in front. And then I can press Tab and go into edit mode. I can move this bone up. It's going to be my spine. I can press S to scale it. Just the same shortcuts that we are used to. If I want to disable this gizmo, I have to disable this hand icon here. And the interface is very small because I'm using a larger monitor, and this old version doesn't have a DPI setting. So sorry, you'll have to squint if you want to see what I'm doing. But yeah, now I can move the bone. If I want to subdivide it, I cannot right click. Right click is just moving the 3D cursor. I have to press W, which stands for specials. And here I have the subdivide menu. And it doesn't have any options on how many subdivisions I want. So I'll have to select this bone and subdivide it again because I want 3 bones. And now I'm going to extrude a bone for the neck and for the head. Now, if I want to name my bones, I can go here to data properties. Here is one way to name a bone. So this will be spine 1. And another way, if I select this bone, I can press N. This is the N panel in this old Blender version. So here I can also click on the bone entry and name it spine 2. And then this will be chest and the head. So in modern Blender, we have F2 for renaming, but here it opens some sort of file browser. So I'll name it here head. Okay. Shift C to set the cursor in the center of the world. So I want another bone, so I'll press Shift A, and now this actually gives us a whole menu, but I want to go add bone, and that will give me a new bone. Alt F doesn't flip the bone here, so let's see. On the specials we have switch direction, so I can flip it like this, and then align it with the leg. W, subdivide, E to extrude. I'll extrude my IK bone. For some reason it kind of flips, which doesn't happen in modern Blender. So anyway, I'll press Alt P, clear parent. And now I can press Ctrl R. I have to select it properly and then press Ctrl R and I can roll it, or I can set the roll here to 0. Alt R doesn't clear the roll, but I believe there is another option that does that. Yeah, here we have bone roll, clear roll. So it's Control N, clear roll. Okay, cool. Okay, let me align the leg. And here just holding the mouse doesn't give you box select, so I have to press B and drag over everything to select. And now I selected something I didn't want to. Oh, also Alt A is not deselect, Alt A is play animation. Okay, I'll extrude a pole target as well, clear the parent, and offset it. Let's name the bones. I'll name it thigh, shin, foot, toe, oops, IK, target, IK pole. Okay, let's continue with the shoulder. I'll press Shift D and duplicate this chest bone, scale it down, name it shoulder, duplicate it again. So in this version, extruding seems to create undesirable bone roll, so I have to tweak it. Also, it breaks your muscle memory a bit. When you press Ctrl P, it still has keep offset and connected, but here connected is on top and keep offset at the bottom, which is inverted in Blender 4. Okay, bone names, up arm, low arm, hand, thumb. Okay, here in the data properties, or it's called editing, we can enable axes. So let's check the axes if they're all aligned. I don't think it's possible to copy the roll from the active bone like we can do these days. But anyway, I'll just make sure that all bones are aligned in the same way. Okay, let's set up IK now. I can press Ctrl and Tab to go into pose mode, which I can also switch from here. And now, let's see, I can select this bone and shift select this one and press Shift I. Oh wow, the IK constraint shortcut already exists. And here it even tells me that I have a circular dependency, which modern Blender doesn't do. So let's undo and I'll go to edit mode, and yeah, this bone is still parented. So I'll press Alt P, clear parent. And then in pose mode, Shift I to active bone. And now if I select this bone, there we go. We have constraints. So we don't have a separate constraints tab. We have the constraints under the data properties. So actually I'm going to get rid of this and set it up manually again. So here is how we add constraints, and check out the list of constraints. It is very close to what we have these days. So I'll choose IK solver. Here to set it up, it doesn't give me a list of options. So I have to type it out, armature, and then it will give me access to the bone, which is IK target. Yep, there we go. Okay, as soon as I have the right name, it's going to work. And let's go to edit mode and parent this leg to the spine. Again, with keep offset. Okay, with keep offset. And you'll see that the IK behaves exactly as in current version. So I have to set chain length to 2. Nice. Okay, I'll do my usual setup to avoid this sinking of the foot. I'll parent it to the IK target, keep offset. And then in pose mode, let's try to shift select this and control shift C. Okay, that is not what I want. Custom orientation. Add and use bone. Nope, let's undo. Oh, it's Control Alt and C. Let's see, Control Alt and C. Nice. So I want copy location, and I want to set head tail to 1. And it doesn't update in the viewport. You have to tweak that property and release, and then it's going to update. So let's set it to 1. And let's set up the pole as well. In here, I'll type armature and IK pole. It will flip, so same as these days. And I have to edit the pole offset to 90 or probably minus 90. There we go. And I also like to parent the pole to the target. Keep offset. Very nice. Okay, now we want to symmetrize these bones. I'll go to edit mode and select everything on the left side. My bones do not have the .l suffix. I did that on purpose. I'll press W and auto name left right. So this will set the .l suffix. And now we come to symmetrizing. So we don't have a symmetrize function. What we do instead is we press Shift D and duplicate all bones. Then we press Shift S, cursor to grid. This sets the cursor at the center. Then we switch to 3D cursor, and then press Ctrl M for mirror, and then hold the middle mouse button and drag to the side. Okay, now we have the mirrored bones, and now they're named like .L001. To flip the names, we press W and flip left-right names. Okay, and now the bones are named with the .R suffix. But this flipping or mirroring changed their orientations, so I can press Ctrl R to roll them. But that is not really necessary. Here's how we're going to fix it. I'll select everything on the left side. And then I'll find the X-axis mirror option and just press G to move these bones and then click to confirm. And because of X-axis mirror, this fixed the opposite side. So almost there. However, this version of Blender does not really symmetrize the constraints. So I have to select this bone and switch its target. Oh, Actually, yes, it does symmetrize the constraints. However, I made a mistake. I didn't really symmetrize this bone, and it still doesn't have the .l suffix. So let's give it .l, go to edit mode, and then I'll symmetrize it in the same way. Shift D, symmetrize it, and I have to switch to 3D cursor. Boom, symmetrize. I'll just rename it here to .r. And then go to this bone and set its target to .r. Nice. things are looking good. Let's see the parenting. Yeah, we need to parent some things. I have to parent this shoulder to the chest, upper arm to shoulder. And let me create a root bone as well. So I'm not sure why, but sometimes when I create a new bone, it's oriented like this. Let me delete this, and then maybe I have to go to front view and create a bone. Yeah, that looks good. And now if I want to scale this bone from the origin, from its head, in New Blender, I would choose individual centers, but here it doesn't really do what I expect. Active object, same thing. 3D cursor would work, because the 3D cursor happens to be right here. But anyway, probably the easiest way is to just grab this and G and Z and make it smaller. Then from the side view, I'll go 90, and then I'll name this root. Parent my unparented bones to the root. And this is a basic rig working exactly as in Blender 4. Next, we probably want to parent the character to the rig with automatic weights. Let's see if that exists. So I'll select the mesh and shift select the rig. Control P, parent to armature, and create from bone heat. So it doesn't say automatic weights, but what happens when automatic weights fails? It says bone heat weighting error, right? So it must be the same thing. And we got bone heat weighting, yes! Failed to find a solution for one or more bones. I'm so happy that this happened. Okay, so the reason this is happening is because I imported this as STL, and all of these vertices are actually disconnected. So in edit mode, I'll select all vertices and go to mesh and vertices. You would think that you would go to merge, but no, this is the year 2009. So we go to remove doubles, and that fused the vertices. Now I can probably shift select the rig, control P, armature, create from bone heat, and yes, it worked, I think. Let's switch to bounding box center. And yeah, we have automatic weights working exactly as I would expect. Let me save this file because I'm really not sure if this is not going to just crash at some point. Did I save this? I'm not sure. I have to kind of click here to confirm, I think. Yes, now it's saved. Okay, next I may want to add some custom shapes. So let's see if that's possible. Under edit. Okay, I had to look for it a little bit, but I think it's this here. Yeah, object that defines custom draw type for this bone. So we need an object. I'll create a mesh circle. And I can even call it WGT circle. So I'll just copy this name because I know that I'm going to have to input it manually. So in here, I'll just paste the name and it will disappear. But if I press this W button, we'll see it. W stands for wireframe. And here we have no options to adjust these shapes. So I have to go to my actual mesh shape and select it and rotate it from the side view in this case. Okay, so I'm not going to waste time creating fancy shapes here. I'll just give all bones the same shape. Oh, I can select multiple bones and I'll get all of their properties here. That's nice. And just paste. And then remember to tick the W button. So some of these shapes are really small. So for them, I should create a second circle. Okay, I won't try to get too fancy. Let's move on. Next, setting up colors. This took me a bit to figure out, but it is close to what we had until Blender 3.6. So in here, link materials, and there is add group. So I'll add a group, set its color, and we have themes here. So we have to choose the theme, and then you'll see the color. Let's call this one left. So now if I want to make all of the left bones red, I'd have to select them and go to armature bones, and from here choose the left group. And then I'll have to enable colors because it's not enabled by default for whatever reason. So let's select all bones on the left side and just give them the left group here. Okay, let's create another group, add group, and now it looks like it's disappeared, but no, the list is over here. So let's name it right. Find the blue color and set it. Here for this bone, I forgot to set the W setting so it doesn't show as a shape. So I disable shapes, and now if I enable them again, it will be visible. I'll create one more group for the center. You know what we haven't done? Weight painting. So let's shift select the object and go to weight paint mode. And now control click, alt click doesn't work, but shift click allows me to select the up arm, for example, and I can paint it. And the colors are familiar. Let's go for the head. And now for some reason I'm subtracting weights. Let's try add. Yeah, weight is set to 0. Let's set it to 1. And paint. We have X mirror, so technically, let's see. If I select the up arm and paint here, yeah, it is being mirrored on the other side. Most of the other things I don't understand here. We have normals. I wonder if there's auto normalize. So if I paint here, will it remove it from the head? I don't think so. Okay, so maybe there is auto normalize somewhere, but I don't see it. Wire enables the wireframe, and it doesn't automatically select my head bone, so it's hard to test. Let's see. Oh, so just right clicking enables the bone and the vertex group. Nice. Okay, this is actually kind of cool. That was one of the strengths of right click select, and actually it still is because it still exists. Some operations are really easy to perform once you get used to it. Now I'm going to want to subtract weights from here. Make the size of the brush bigger. But anyway, that will be our weight painting. Oh, okay, let's go back to the rig. And something I forgot to set is the deforming option. And here we have deform options. So let's see. I would assume that vertex group is like disabling the deform option in modern Blender. No, it seems to be a more global option. There we go. Here's the deform option under armature bones. So let's select the root and remove deform. And what else? The IK is also non-deforming. The pulse also. And everything else is deforming. So let's go to object mode and let's parent again with automatic weights. Now this messed up with my custom weight painting, but it's fine. It's just for fun. I'll disable axis here, and I'm going to hide these bones because they won't be manipulated directly. So let's see if I select a bunch of them and press M. Yes, we have bone layers. So let's move them to layer 2, press OK, and they won't be visible. Nice. Oh, this needs a widget, and I'll just assume that this is fine. By the way, in this version of Blender, we don't have collections here in the outliner. So when I press M, we have this similar system of boxes for object layers. So I'll place the widgets here so that I don't have to see them. And yeah, this is a perfectly working rig if I ever saw one. Actually, this pole is still parented to the other leg. So if I go to edit mode and select it, I can change its parent from here. Now I get a list. Why do I get a list here but not in the other places? So I want to parent it to iktarget.r. Perfect. Okay, and finally I believe we can even do animation. I'll just do some random movements. So I'll select this, for example, and press I. Okay, this is insert key. Let's go location and rotation. And then, oh, To move the playhead, you actually have to do right click. Even though I set my option to left click, some things are still right click, or I think they get inverted. Anyway, I set my frame to 30, and I can enable auto keying. Okay, this didn't work. Let's see. Location and rotation. Maybe I have to set edge replace keys. Oh, yes, this looks good. Yeah, animation. So Alt A will play the animation. Okay, we have root animation. And if I want to tweak the curves, there is something called the IPO curve editor. I have no idea what IPO stands for. And I have to be in pose mode here. And here are the curves. So only when I tweak the curve and confirm, then I'll see the change. It's not interactive like these days. I don't see the Bezier handles, but here in the end panel, I can see that I can add drivers. So I think this is how we add drivers in this version. Drivers definitely exist, and at least the basics are the same as what we have today. By the way, if you want a shape key, we can go here to shapes, add shape key, the basis, and then add another one. And then I can go to edit mode and enable proportional editing. Or do we have sculpting here? Yes, we do. Cannot sculpt with unlocked shape key. This is actually nice. In Blender 4 it doesn't tell you anything and you're just kind of left scratching your head and wondering why it's not being deformed. So now I have to set this to 1 and then I'll be... So it looks like I have to enable this option here and then I can sculpt. What kind of brushes do we have here? And where are the brushes? I have no idea. Oh, there we go. Grab brush. Yes. Okay, this is my shape. And now I'll unpin it and I can manipulate it. I'm also going to create a driver for the shape key because I figured it out, so I want to show it. So I'll go to edit mode, create a new bone. And let's call it driver. And I'll parent it to the head. Right, so now I have to select the head and go to the IPO curve editor. And I have to switch to shape. So for the armature, we have a pose mode, and for the mesh, we have shape and some other modes. All right, so here's my key. I can actually name it head, and it will be renamed here. So I can select it and then go here. This is the end panel, hide and unhide with N, and add a driver. Now I have to set the object, so it's going to be the armature because I want a bone in the armature. And here I have to set it to pose, and now I get access to the bones. And I'll say that the bone will be the driver bone. Here we have location, rotation, and scale. And I believe this is all in local space, and I don't see any way to go for world space and so on, the stuff that we have these days. So local y-axis. And now at this point, it's not going to work. It should be that when I move this bone up, it activates the shape key, but it doesn't. And here's why. I'll select the mesh and go to curve, and I need to go insert curve. And this gives us this curve that we get by default these days. But with this, I should be able to activate the shape key with a bone. I hope you enjoyed this kind of random video, and most of all, I hope it served its purpose, and that is to show you that little interface changes shouldn't faze you. You can go to these very old versions of Blender and still figure things out. You can even watch tutorials for other software and translate it into Blender. Because while things are kind of different, the fundamentals are mostly the same. If you want to learn the fundamentals of rigging and you haven't seen my Rigging Isn't Scary course yet, check it out for free here on YouTube.